Okay, so with the front kick, the first thing we like to do is give our students a reference point for their hands. What we have them do at a basic level is make their fist tight and pull the hands in very tightly. And we just like to do this so that they can get a reference point and also so that they get in the habit of keeping their guards up. Okay? The next thing we're going to go over is how to chamber the kick in the proper foot position. So the first thing is we're going to bring the knee up nice and high. Okay, that's important. So knee up high, nice tight chamber. The ball of the foot is what we're striking with here. Okay? So whenever we're executing a front kick, it's really important that we're not leading with the toes, kind of kicking this way and leading with those toes, because it's easy to get an injury that way. So we're going to pull the toes back. Now, from a side view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my knee up, I'm going to chamber my front kick, 2 we're going to snap it, and 3 we're going to put it down. So we break the front kick down into 3 counts. So one more time, 1 we're going to bring the knee up, 2 we snap it, and 3 put it down. We want the students, of course, to keep their eyes on their target when they're kicking. Okay? And of course, this should be practiced on both legs. From a front view, or a more neutral stance, knee comes up, 2 we snap it, and 3 put it down. Note that when I do this, my goal is to keep my head very straight. We'll often tell our students is to act as if you have a glass of water on top of your head. So as I execute the kick, my head moves very little. Okay? To move the head while you're kicking is called telegraphing. It's basically just letting your opponent know that a kick is coming. So what we're striving for is kind of that ninja kick, as we like to tell the kids. So again, 3 count front kick, guards come up. If we're executing from a guarding stance, if it's a lead leg kick, knee comes up, snapping the foot down. Okay, if we're doing it from the other side, same thing, knee comes up, fast snap, and down. And we also want to avoid sort of the loss of balance on this. We want the and not to lead with the legs. So in other words, after I kick, I don't want the leg to drag me off balance. I want to make sure that I have good balance so that after I do the kick full speed, I'm right back here. So we'll break it down into 3 counts, and then we'll bring it to full speed. So from a guarding stance, if you're going to do full speed, just 1, 2, 3, just like that. Same thing on the other side, 1, 2, 3. So there's a couple of things you want to really keep an eye on with our basic level students. 1 is keeping the hands up. 2 is making sure we have a nice chamber and recoil. And then, of course, 3 is putting the kick down with balance. So when I say recoil, what I mean is that we want to make sure that after I kick, the kick comes back. I want to kick and drop my leg. Okay? So it's really important to get in that habit of recoiling the front kick. Front kick is a great tool to have because in most cases, your leg is going to be a lot longer than someone's arm. So if someone's standing forward to push you or grab you, we can reach them with our front kick first. Also, we don't need a lot of flexibility with the front kick. It can be delivered to the groin or the leg. So it's a good self-defense tool, and that's generally the first kick that our students will learn. And that's front kick. Okay, so our second basic kick is our side kick. We'll break this down into 4 counts. You're going to have a pivot and a chamber, a kick with a lockout, 3 is a rechamber, and 4 we're going to put the foot down. So again, just have a reference point, get the kids in the habit of keeping their guards up, hands come up just like this. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pivot. So the knee needs to come in, really tight to the bottom. We call this a nice tight chamber. This is a drill. You can even just work on the balance by holding here. We're going from 10 to 30 seconds at a time. 30 seconds is a long time, so we generally start with 10 and we'll work up to 30. So that's 1. Okay, that's going to be the first part of the kick. Now, what you can't see, but what I'm doing is I'm turning my bottom foot. So as I bring this knee up to chamber, I'm pushing up on the ball of my foot and I'm pivoting. Okay, so we call it a pivot and a chamber. So this way, my heel and my bottom are actually pointing where I want the kick to go. Okay, so step 1 is going to be to chamber the kick. Again, I'm going to keep my eyes on my target. Now on 2, I'm going to lock the kick out nice and strong. 3, I bring it back, rechambering. And 4, I go back to my guarding stance. So what's important on a side kick, a little different than a front kick, is we're not snapping the kick out. We're actually locking it out to develop balance, develop the idea of kicking through the target, and to develop what we call dynamic strength and flexibility with the kick. So once again, from here, from a guarding stance, my guard's up, going to keep those elbows in. Okay? And again, this is a technical kick. We're not really working on how we would apply this against an opponent or on a target just yet. Just want to get the mechanics of the kick down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chamber, knee comes in. I'm going to keep those guards up, elbows in, head up. Once again, try to act as if I have a glass of water on my head. I'm going to look at my target, 2, lock it out, 3 back, and 4 is down. That's your 4 count side kick. So on the other side, same thing. going to start with my guards up, start from a guarding stance. On 1, we'll pivot, bring that knee in. 2, we'll lock it. 3, bring it back. And 4, put it down. And that's your 4-count side kick. So the things to keep in mind on this, number 1 are pivot. Sometimes we'll just work on this, which is a 2-count pivot. We use the analogy of like a bicycle because most kids have had the experience of riding a bicycle or have their own bike. So we'll say, you know, if the handlebars are here, 1 foot's on the pedal, I'm going to pick my leg up like I'm going to pedal away, and then I go back. So we call it a 2-count pivot. 1, my knee comes up. 2, we drop it down. Once again, my frame, my upper body is going to stay real consistent here. So I don't want to pivot and lean or drop my guards. Those would all be what we call bad habits. Okay? So work on the 2-count pivot. The other thing here is going to be the foot position. So when I'm kicking with a side kick, I'm kind of turning the foot horizontally, and I'm going to emphasize the heel. I'll kick with the whole foot. What I don't want to do is have my toes up. I'm going to rotate the hip. That's a big thing, especially with the younger kids, to get that technique down. So that's something else you want to keep an eye on. And the third thing, again, is just balance. And that just comes with time and with practice, right? Certainly, when we work on the kick in class, we are going to work on it on the bar first. And what that will look like, you can always use the back of a chair, by the way, at home if you don't want fingerprints on your wall. But with the bar, we'll work on pivoting and chambering, locking the kick, bringing it back, and putting it down. So this way, we learn the mechanics of the kick before doing it off the bar. So eventually what happens is within a guarding stance, they'll apply this defensively and offensively. And what that starts to look like is instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we put it together. We pivot, kick, and then put it down. And then on offense, make sure we get this all in the frame here, I'm going to step, I'm going to cross behind, then I'm going to execute the kick. So I'm not going to have a pivot on offense. I'll just simply, as I step behind, I'll point my heel at the target. Okay? And those are the key points on your side kick. Okay, the third kick that we cover in basic class would be your 3-count roundhouse kick. And with this particular kick, we're going to show you some different ways of throwing this kick as the kids get through into maybe a more advanced level of class, but all the way from basic level through intermediate. This is the technique that we're going to use for the round kick without really any variation. So once again, we're going to have that reference point. We got the guards up, fist tight, elbows tucked in for this because again, this is not in the context of sparring or pad work or anything like that. This is just really executing and learning how to break down the kick, and then we can kind of take it outside of that box and start applying it. So first thing we're going to do is once again, we're going to pivot the bottom foot. So again, just because of the way the camera is right here, I'm not sure you can see my feet, but I'm going to turn so that my heel is pointing towards the target. And the way I do that is just kind of push up on the ball of the foot. We'll often tell the kids it's like if they play basketball, kind of that 1 foot kind of pivot. And so we use that pivot point on the ball of the foot. So what's going to happen is I'm going to bring my guards up. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and chamber. So the round kick chamber is just like a front kick chamber, but it's sideways. 2, I snap the kick, and 3, I bring it down. Now what's really important on this is a couple things. 1 is going to be having a good snap on the kick. I liken it between the difference of like lobbing a ball to someone versus throwing like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, right? So once we get to the chamber, it's a fast snap. And then on 3, you're going to put it down. The other element that we really try to put into this that you'll probably be able to see if I go more from this angle is kicking through the target. So if I don't kick through the target, the kick can be a nice kick, a nice snappy kick. There's not going to be a lot of power on it because my knee is not following through. There's no real penetration on it. So what we want to do is once we get to here, kick through and then rechamber. Okay, so you can see the difference here versus here. I want to kick through the target and then rechamber. So again, when they're learning this kick, that's going to be on the bar. We'll teach them to pivot, kick through the target, rechamber, and put it down. Another balance stretch here would be to grab either the knee, or some kids like to do the instep, and we just pivot and we hold. So supporting leg locked, guard up. This helps with balance, helps them learn how to do the chamber. One of the things with the roundhouse kick is that it is very similar to front kick. So mechanically, kind of this same action with the foot, but again, I'm turning it sideways. Now front kick, I don't have to pivot my bottom foot, my kicking, my support leg. But with roundhouse kick and side kick, we do. So typically we'll go front kick, and then they'll learn either round kick or side kick, depending how our curriculum rotation is going. So again, from here, guards will come up. If I'm in a guarding stance here, I'm going to pivot, 2 is a kick, 3 drop it down. Same thing on the other side, right? From a guarding stance, I'm going to pivot, kick through the target, snap it, rechamber it, and put it down. So that's your 3 count roundhouse kick. So again, with these kicks, we really like in the beginning to break them down by count. And in fact, we work on what we call count kicks all the way up to black belt because it keeps their technique sharp. But in concert with that, we'll be showing them how to apply these in sparring situations, self-defense situations, and on the targets. So I hope this video has been helpful, and we'll look forward to seeing you in class.